We are what, 2 weeks into the class. How do you guys feel about how things have been flowing so far? What are your thoughts, initial thoughts, expectations? Were you expecting something totally different? Are you completely lost, have no idea what's going on? Like what's the temperature right now?
Pretty good fun.
Material wise, content wise, how you feeling? Is it like over your head? Do you guys understand? You guys get what I'm kind of talking about? Or is it piquing your interest? Or you kind of like, whatever? Be honest.
I think it's a very interesting topic. So stuff that I'm not familiar with, but I think it's interesting.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. And be honest, if this material is not you, trust me, say it, like by all means, obviously I'm a business guy. I love this stuff, I love watching it, love listening to it, love talking about it. I think it's just very valuable, especially once you start seeing how it impacts us, right? Like, you're seeing these companies and, I think media can do a lot of fear mongering. I think we all need to be aware to understand what does society look like in the future. Like, where is it going? And like, why is it getting there? And I think the beautiful part for all of you, the beautiful part is that this is truly where you get to create your life and pursuit of what it is that you do and dedicate to society. Like, you are at the beginning of AI innovation and whatever the hell that means. Like, you are at a true gold rush and whatever the hell that means. And I think the beautiful part about it with the internet, the beautiful part about it with this AI stuff is truly like, what do you want to pursue and what makes you happy? So you talk about all this business stuff, right? And I'll put it onto another principle. It's what I love about just society in general, right? There's this saying, right? It's called "There's always a bigger boat." Who knows what that means? There's always a bigger boat.
Always someone above you.
Always someone above you. What else?
Always a better opportunity.
Always a better opportunity, right? And there's always somebody above you to some magnitude, right? Like, you chase to be a CEO, and then you're like, shit, I got to answer to a board of directors. Then you're like, let me go be a board of director. And you're like, shit, I got to answer to my investors. Then you become an investor, and it's like, well, shit, I got to answer to make sure that my money and like whatever this now, I got to continue to build and grow. And like, to what point? 50 Cent, he said one of my favorite things. He said, I got a Ferrari just so I could go around my friends that had a Ferrari and talk about my Ferrari too. I wasn't going to be around that network and then everybody saying they got this Ferrari or that and not include me. It's you get that car and it's used, right? It goes. But then all of a sudden, your friend graduates or gets a job and they got a brand new car. And you're like, oh, I need that. Then you get a brand new car. And then next thing you know, you get from that car, you get a motorcycle, you get something else. And then you're always pursuing something. And there's always something bigger. And every time you get to one level, you're like, oh, shit, there's just always a bigger boat, right? You go from a boat, there's this the lake area. Right, everybody probably would love to have a boat on Lake Austin. Debatable. Would be nice. You get a boat, then all of a sudden you pull up to somebody that got a yacht, and you're like, oh shit. And then they're like, how much does that? You're like, how much does that cost? When I tell you, you start getting into these like numbers and like just it is all honestly. It's all a fallacy. It's all fake. but it's all based off of what you desire, what you want to pursue. And I'd argue that resources and whatever it is that you want, it's limitless. It's just what you pursue, what you create, and what you build off of it. It's the funny thing is that, you get a boat, then somebody has a yacht, then you get a yacht, and then somebody pulls up with a yacht that has a helicopter pad. Then you get the yacht with a helicopter pad, and somebody's like, oh, I got an apartment to park my yacht. Like, when does it stop? Like, you like your Mercedes Benzes and BMWs. What makes you? Who's any car enthusiast? Mercedes Benz and BMW. What do you know about it? What's the real model? So there is entry level, and then there is the real thing. So a Mercedes Benz, the real thing is an AMG. If it don't got AMG, it's a replica. The BMW, the real thing is I believe the M class, or not the M class, it's the 63 series. Which is like, so no, there's a difference. And when I say there's a difference, to get a regular Mercedes Benz, how much are you paying?
E-class.
For an E-class, you're probably paying about like $60,000 to $80,000. But remember, it's a replica model, it's entry level. There's always a bigger boat. The actual model you want is the AMG, and they start at $250,000 and up. So, but this is business. There are people that just want that to associate with that brand, and they want to have that BMW for African Americans. We say it's black man winning. So that BMW means it doesn't matter what it is. It's when I go in there, I know I'm doing well in life. That's what it means in my society, my culture, and everything along those lines. Whereas another person is a business consultant and they drive around in a Maserati that if you get a Maserati, it costs $80,000, but if you get the real Maserati, it's $250,000. And the moment you drive the Maserati off of the moment you drive it off the lot, the value goes down like 65%. So that $80,000 car is actually only really worth like 40, 50 in reality. And how much do you think a brake job for a Maserati is? Give me an estimation. Last I heard is $2,500 per wheel. So, it's nice to get these nice things and these cars and all that, but also understand what can you afford. Like, it's funny, you get that person that got that BMW and the Mercedes, and it's like a 2001. You can't work on it yourself. Those things are expensive. You got to pay for the mechanic that charges $150 an hour versus somebody that works on Toyota, they charge $60 to $70 an hour. You go out to LA, you go out to these rich homes, there's a difference in theology and process of how people live. You have people that are house poor. They live in this big ass house, but they're poor just paying to live in that house and they don't have much of anything else. Then you have people that have the money, have the house, and then you look at this big ass house and they got the Toyota Prius. Why would it benefit you to have a big ass house with the Toyota Prius? Anybody know? From a business perspective.
Save you money.
Okay, save you money. All electric, no gas. Good, reliable car. What else? What else do you think would be a benefit?
Not having to do as much maintenance on
Not as much maintenance. Let's talk business. How will it help save me money? See, and I don't know with Trump if it still exists, but the people with electric vehicles used to get a write-off on their taxes. So I think this is really why Elon is partnering with Trump to the magnitude that he is. When Biden came in, so understand this is why it's important to understand Democratic versus Republican. All right, Democrats want to rebuild, Republicans want to build. Either way, your build or rebuild, it requires materials and blue collar workers, like developing roadways or creating new roadways, developing new houses or repairing houses. Like no matter, building new roadways or repairing bridges, like they're all the same. It's just what do we focus on? All right. So when you look at Trump right now, or so with Trump, Trump believes in, or the Republicans believe in drilling and that whole fracking thing, which is big for you guys here in Texas, is really important for our economy here. All right. Being allowed to do it or not being allowed to do it helps us either generate more business or not generate because of how much oil you can access. All right. But what happens with the Republicans, because they're a big business, because they support oil, the electric companies don't thrive. Electric car vehicle companies don't thrive as much in the gas economy. So when Biden got in, Democrats, very green heavy, very greenhouse heavy. How can we reduce our emissions? And, let's go from gas to electric. Let's enforce that by 2032, all cars must be a hybrid. There will be no gas cars by 2032, which Trump scrapped, by the way. Like literally, there's been a whole lot of movement going on. So why does that matter for Elon? When we talk about electric car companies, what's their biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge for Lucid? What's the biggest challenge for Rivian?
I believe it's Elon right now. The biggest challenge would be to have the technology, of course, to make it.
Having the technology. So the other electronic or EV companies, they don't have the same technology as Elon and Tesla. So the problem is, you guys know what the Lucid is, the Lucid vehicles, you guys seen those?
Yeah, it's all in Arizona.
Yeah, Lucid, that's my favorite one. It's like the fastest EV, they have one car, it's the most expensive EV. It is a 250,000, it's the Bentley of EVs. The car is $250,000. Just this year or 2 years ago, they've now expanded their production line. So they have a $250,000 car. And then now they've replicated it where the middle class, the middle model is 160,000. Same car. It's just the difference is the trim. You got the 250,000 because of the trim. The trim is two-tone. You got the regular one for 160,000 with one color, but it's 4 or 5 different colors. And then the base model, they all drive the same. They all have the same speed. Like I'm talking about 0 to 60 in like under a second. The fastest EV. I sat in this thing. I felt like I was sitting in the back of a Maybach. The space, like I'm a car guy, but like when I test drive cars, I don't ever, like it's the drive, but I want to see how the back seat and the space in the back seat is, right? Like I don't want to have somebody in my car and like I get in the back seat and I feel like you're all up in my ear, right? Like I want space. I want to know that when, you're riding in the back car, like the back seat, like I hate when I drive and people are all dramatic and moving over. Like I want to know it's a smooth, sturdy ride for people that are going to be in the car. Because when I'm driving, if it's not smooth, you're going to be judging me on my driving, and it might not be me. It's really just the car and the wobbles, and so I'm whatever, right? So when I tell you the Lucid, you get in the damn thing, like the space is like, and there's no trunk, like there's no engine, like they have maximized the amount of space. The problem is, this is business, all right? So like. They only have one model. That one model costs $250,000 to purchase. Not a lot of buyers. with the auto industry, you have to have multiple products to serve consumers. But what they're looking to do is, how can I produce everything in one factory? And maybe I do one powertrain, but then I put a truck on top of that. I put a car on top of that. I reduce that powertrain. I make it a coupe. I make it a mid-size SUV, right? And then I have a minivan, but I have multiple products that I'm producing from one process that I'm servicing many demographics. So the problem with Lucid is they have one car and then everybody loves Tesla. The other problem with Lucid is every time Lucid produces one car, they lose. It's like $500,000 per vehicle. They are negative profit every time they produce the car. But they're backed by Saudi Arabia. So they got that Arab money that's like endless. They got that oil and gas money that, like, whatever this loss is, it's better that we invest in this because of what? What are we looking to gain as businesses, investors? What profit?
Taxable profit.
What are we looking at?
Exposure,
Exposure now.
loyalty,
We're looking at profit, but what profit? I don't care about the profit I made today. I care about the profit I make in the future. We're worried about future profit. So they're investing billions and billions and billions of dollars. Remember, Saudis are oil industry, so they need to be able to compete as the economy and nations start to go more away from oil and into electric vehicles. So here's a company they can back so that the money of, and as they innovate, as they get more efficient, they can now earn profits in both gas and electric vehicles. But it takes this crazy investment, which we'll get to how all that stuff works. When you put money into the entity and it doesn't return a profit, it becomes a write-off. So if I made $1 million, I gotta pay 40%. 40% of $1 million is 400,000. If I made $1 million, but I lost 400,000, I can claim that I lost 400,000, which makes my taxable income go from $1 million to $600,000. And then instead of paying 40% on $1 million, I pay 40% on 600,000. So when I say this becomes counterintuitive and why you need to understand this stuff is, where do I invest money so that the more money I make, the less money they take? You get taxed off of the money you don't spend. The system only works when money circulates. I'd argue that our system is screwed up because wealthy people don't want to pay taxes. And when they don't want to pay taxes, this system that's supposed to circulate economy, circulate cash flow, it all of a sudden loses this money. And then there's this large chunk of money that goes overseas, goes in the Swiss banks, goes in Cayman Islands, goes in banks that have no regulation. And there's a balance between dirty money and then I got a bag and I don't feel like paying nobody no taxes. But when you take the money out of the system, the government needs to make sure that it keeps on circulating. So you get taxed for the money you don't spend. See, you only have two types of people when it comes to money. You have spenders and future spenders. Anybody disagree? Like, you're in college right now, so that you can get a high-paying job to do what?
Get money and pay for the stuff I need to pay.
Get money and spend it. You are spenders or future spenders. And the government is looking at how you are maneuvering your money, and they have these indicators that can either cause you to hopefully save money or to start to spend money. And they control this through the interest rate by how expensive money is to get or how cheap money is. Trump's trying to make money cheap. If he makes it cheap, inflation goes high. When inflation goes high and rampant, we've already seen it. There are 4,500 people that were made millionaires overnight that can buy properties, and then all of you are asleep and still have no idea how they did it, what they were looking at, who they were following, or who they were listening to. There's a whole opportunity that is being missed. So, excuse me, this is how broad the damn topic is when we talk about business, and even why when I go through this material, I don't even know how many slides in on it I am, to be honest with you. Let me see. I'm 17 out of 177. So when I say we're going to be in this material for the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks, that's exactly what I mean. But I'm going to deep dive where it's not so high level, right? You guys know what, you guys know, the difference between goods, tangible items, services, all that stuff, right? But how does it really apply, and what does it matter for you, right? Another thing where I think you guys do have the advantage of pursuing a college degree is we do know that those with a college degree also earn more over the lifetime, right? But you guys with college degrees get access to better jobs, and you probably have a different motivation. Your degree is a means to the next thing, which then will be a means to the next thing, which is a means to the next thing, and so forth, right? But one thing I'll tell you is that the job you pursue and the career you pursue, for most of you, will pay more than you pursuing to start your own business. So also understand that. However, there's a reason behind it. When we start businesses, we tend to start businesses with the skill sets that we have and the things that we can do. The first class, right, we talked about what skill sets, we had what skill sets you have, what is it that you can do that I need to pay you $60,000 to $75,000. What skill set do you have that earns and is worth that kind of salary? And we can argue that you would work hard, or you'd work harder for yourself than you would for anybody else. We can definitely argue that. But when you work for yourself, can self-pay $60,000 a year? And if self could pay $60,000 a year, your ass wouldn't be in this class, right or wrong. So you're pursuing knowledge to learn skill sets so you can ultimately earn 100 plus. I mean, that's everybody's ultimate goal. But again, what skill sets earn 100 plus? When you think about the businesses that you could or would start, it's built off of your blood, sweat, and tears and your time. I'd rather go to a company, earn a lot of money from that company, allow that company to pay me while I learn a skill set that's highly desired and earns a lot of money, save my money, and then invest that money so that ultimately I don't have to work. My money works for me. And I don't think it's the point of you don't have to work. I think it's the point of pursuing what it is that you value the most with your time. Right? We all love family. We all love friends. But family and friends get sickly after some time. Right? Sometimes you need to do your own thing. You need to go be around your own space or whatever that may be. Money is good, but money gets sickening because you realize there's always a bigger boat and you never want to become a slave to money. So it's understanding, how do I, one, earn the money, and then where do I make wise decisions that build my investments, that allow my money to work for me, which that could be through stock market investments, that could be through real estate investments, that could be through business investments, that could be through just putting your money in a money market compared to a regular checking account. It's being aware that when this stagnant money that doesn't circulate, I know one thing that's happening. When this money that I have doesn't move, what's going on? When your money's in a savings account, when your money's just sitting in a shoebox, when your money's under a mattress, what's happening to it?
Losing value
Why?
because inflation is out there. And you
It's
know,
losing value because of inflation. Every year we know inflation on average is 2 to 4%. During COVID, inflation went up as high as 9%. So if you had your money in the mattress just sitting there, or if you had your money and you were just looking at it, waiting for it to become $1,000, while you were looking at it, it was actually losing its purchasing power. So you want to put your money in locations where, one, you're aware, and I think you definitely want to put money in a savings account, right? Like you definitely want to have 6 months worth of money saved up just in case you need to pay your bills. So, and numbers never lie. You know what the numbers are. You know how much your rent is. You know how much car insurance is. You know how much your regular bills are. You know how much your screw around money is. You know that in advance. So you set that goal to save that up first. But then once I get 6 months, what do? Because I know that the money that's sitting there, it has no true, like it's losing value. But my purpose was to only keep it there in case of emergency. Like I got 6 months to not panic. Why do you want 6 months? Why do they say that? I mean, you guys heard that before, right? You want to have 6 months to a year worth of your bill saved up. Why?
I mean, just in case.
Just in case what?
You lose your job, you cannot work.
You lose your job, you can't work. Why 6 months to a year though?
Because typically that's how long it takes to find another job.
6 months to a year to find another job. And what you don't want to be is in a situation where you lose your job because they laid you off, they fired you, the company went under. Businesses fail, it happens, but you still got to provide for your family and pay your bills. You don't want to be in a situation where I can't pay my bills tomorrow, and then I have to take the job that takes me. And if it takes 6 months to a year to find a job, how hard do you think it is to find a job when you're working a job you hate? Just because you need a paycheck. We're probably working jobs that we hate and you're getting paid $20 an hour. I rolled by In-N-Out Burger and it was like, we pay $18.50 to $21 an hour. It's like, shit. I left McDonald's because they wouldn't give me a 25-cent raise and they were paying $6.15 an hour. It was like $14.15 filling myself. You know, I'm doing fries, and I'm doing counter, and I'm cooking. I deserve a 25-cent raise. They said we can't afford it, and I quit. Now people at In-N-Out and fast food places are getting paid $20 freaking an hour, and we wonder why the food is unaffordable. And then we also wonder why, since the employees need so much money, is why you walk into these locations and establishments, and it's all AI. You come in there, you hit the thing and the machine puts the food out for you. So these are all different opportunities and things that you need to be aware of when you talk about business. All right. You're losing out on so much if you're not paying attention because you don't know where to put your money. If you don't know where to put your money, the money that you're making is losing value. You always want to put your money in spots that are valuable. Now, the shit that's crazy and hectic is in America, you can create an unlimited source of money if you use your money properly. You do that through asset leveraging. You take your money, you buy assets, you leverage those assets off of debt. I got a house that I'm renting with friends, 4 people live in, we all pay rent together, but when we all get paid, we put our money into one pot. Covers bills, covers everything, and then we take that money and we buy an asset. I can show you how to buy a house for under $10,000 through a tax foreclosure process. And realistically, you only got to put 10% down and you got to pay the rest in 30 days. Differs per county. You get access to a house that could be worth 150 and above. And all you have to do is pay 10,000 because nobody was paying taxes on that house. And the one thing you can't do in this economy and society is not pay taxes. Do not pay Uncle Sam taxes. If you don't pay him taxes, he's going to come after that ass and he's going to put you in jail and give you some heavy fines. We've seen actors and entertainers do this all the time. They make 100,000 a show and then like they're blowing it and balling out. And then at the end of the year, they're like, their accountant is like, okay, you made 1.3 million. You owe the government 500,000. And then they're like, wait, what? They done spent it. They don't have it. Because they saw that $1 million and they spent $1 million. They didn't get the E-Class, they got the AMG, they got it delivered in. That thing cost $300, delivery fee was $10. They went flying private jets, spending $300,000 a year flying private jets, and then all of a sudden that tax bill comes in and they never put none of that money they were making away. And I mean, I think it's, life is just ebbs and flows, right? You're going to go through moments where you make a lot of money, and then you're also going to go through moments where you might not make as much. The best you can do in this corporate world is always do what you love, because then the money really won't matter. And, you can wake up and I don't care if they pay me 30,000 or 100,000. I'm happy to be here where I'm at. So as we look at these different business types and everything, think about the career you want to pursue, the companies you want to work for, or like what businesses you want to start and what skill sets you need to learn for that business to be successful. You want businesses that have a competitive advantage, right? We talked about if I had a t-shirt company and I sold t-shirts to HT compared to I could be an HT student, and it probably would make more sense for me to sell UT t-shirts because I have 40,000 students in a dedicated database compared to HT. As effed up as it is, as soon as y'all get the hell out of here, y'all probably can't wait to get the hell up out of here, and y'all don't ever want to return. I ask you to return, like you have to return. Like this is the place that gave you opportunity wherever you go to. So you got to give back to the knucklehead kids that were just like you. Whether that's your time, your presence, or your money, the university needs your money. The university needs your money. The university needs your money. For whatever magnitude, and who cares what they do with it. It's your just duty to return. So think about these aspects of your career, your investment, your money. This is why I tell you, watch the news, watch CNBC, read Wall Street Journal, read, and like there's so much free stuff out there. There's literally, and now there's so much free education on AI. Like I tell you right now, focus on school for the next 3 years and focus on learning AI. You can literally spend an hour a day, like I showed you guys the Verizon thing, right? I showed you guys that, the Verizon program. Oh, I'll show you guys at the end of class. It's a 12-month program. It's completely free. They teach you the AI field and industry. The only thing is the first 30 days, you have to finish the first curriculum. And then as long as you do that, you have access for 12 months and it's nothing but free trainings. If you don't do the first 30 days, they kick you out. You can never come back into the program again. Like you guys probably you shouldn't have anything to do. And again, if you're looking for a salary that's going to, when you leave here, if you're looking for that salary that's going to pay you that 6 figures out of college, it's tech. Oh, software engineers, Dr. Thompson was on the phone serving as he was on the phone giving a recommendation for a student that was working at SAP and they were or interviewing for SAP. They were hiring 120 starters. What I love about society today is you got YouTube University and everything is for free. You can learn tech. You can go to Harvard. Like Harvard has free classes you can take. Like Google free Harvard courses. Google Python courses. Google SQL courses. Like Google all this stuff and like you should be partnering your degree with these skill sets. And then you want to learn the skill sets so you can talk about them. Then you go to these tech events and there's Dell and Microsoft and IBM and recruiters and all that. And you say, oh, I'm a business management major, but I've also been learning a little bit more about AI. And I see you guys have this project where you guys have been working on this in AI. Like, so what are you guys using? I've been learning Python. Is there something else you recommend that I should look into? They tell you, you learn. You go around the audience and you talk the talk and walk the walk, and what happens next? Opportunity comes to those that are prepared for it, not those that wait. So businesses also serve other organizations such as hospitals, retailers, and governments by providing machinery, goods for resale, computers, and thousands of other items. So the Ivy League schools, what they were doing like back in 06, 08 time frame, they were teaching students about social entrepreneurism. Social entrepreneurism is going out and finding these good causes and then starting up a nonprofit. You start up a nonprofit, you get access to grant funding. The grant funding gives you access, if you manage the money right, to loans, financial bank funding. Then you basically have a business that's a nonprofit that's funded that you can be the CEO of, and there's your career. You've created your salary by structuring the business properly and getting access to grant funding, sponsorships, and it pays you, well, with nonprofits, 50% of the money has to go towards the nonprofit good, the other 50% to operations. What's the difference between somebody at a Harvard University or Yale compared to you? If you start up a nonprofit, go to write a grant, look for partnerships, foundation funding, what do you think that Harvard, Yale, and I'd argue maybe some UT students have access to that you do not?
Contact?
What kind of context?
School they are. The school they are.
The school, but what kind of context?
In like the networking to the business work?
The network, but who specifically? Who do you think is sending their kids to Yale, Harvard, Cornell?
To the sons of the owners of companies that are doing class right now.
The owners of companies, the CEOs, the executives. The difference here, most of our families aren't CEOs, executives, and owners of companies. So if I start up my nonprofit, my network has nothing but people that, oh, his dad owns this and her mom does this. And he like, all these connections. So I start up this nonprofit that's a social good. And all of my relationships, all I gotta do is, hey, your dad's Michael Dell. Can you see if he would be interested in giving $50,000 to this nonprofit that helps to teach kids how to tie ties? Oh, I love that. Michael Dell gives $50,000, but Michael Dell doesn't give $50,000. He gives a $50,000 check. Like, it's coming from the foundation that's actually the company's write-off. And he was the one that just basically said, make it happen. You go do that same thing. You can do it. You can do the same thing, but do you have access to the same exact network that can sit here and drop that type of money in the bucket and make that decision? That's the difference. I'd argue that a lot of these younger entrepreneurs that are like sitting out here not working and living, thriving, having an apartment, actually paying their bills. This one guy during the whole George Floyd murder, and he was talking, white guy, he had a shirt on that said, I stand for the flag, but I kneel for Jesus. And he was like, he thought it was so good. He was like, look, you know, I'm experiencing the same problems that everybody else is. And, you know, I understand what Colin Kaepernick was doing and, you know, everything going on, but I'm about unity. And like me, I support America. I stand for the flag. I kneel for the cross. He goes, you know, I pay rent to my parents and I'm living, you know, they don't give me any breaks. If you're paying rent to your parents, we ain't living the same life. Because your parents will be like, if you don't got, you know, $1,000 for the rent, your parents will be like, all right, go ahead. The landlord ain't saying, and your landlord ain't charging you $1,000 for rent right now. And if he is, you ain't living in the most best conditions that you want to live in, right? If it's $1,000 or less, you're not in the area that's desirable. You're probably driving further for work. There's no companies around. Town is slow, not a lot of movement. You don't want to live there anyway. So when we think about these businesses and opportunities, I mean, it goes outside of just products and services. There's organizations, there's nonprofits, right? Like just the ecosystem of businesses is like vast. So when you talk about even the opportunity of starting up a business, I don't care what business it is that you start. I have the worst analogy in the world, and I'm trying to come up with a better one. But like it's harsh, but it's true. One of my mentors, Dr. George Fraser, said, if they can convince people to kill themselves in a cult, you can start up a business. Think about the things that you support and why you support them. Think about the things you buy and why you buy them. Think about the products you use, right? And why you use them. And you don't know why. It's what I've always used. And you never question why you always use what you use until something happens. You got a skin reaction, and then you're like, wait, hold on. Oh, this product has this and this and this in the ingredients. I'm not using that. Like, I think I don't know about you guys. Like, that was my hardest thing about being, like going international. Right, like I shared with you guys, I think, and so excuse me for repeating myself, but like when I went to Paris, they drink mineral water. I drink spring water, excuse me. I drink spring water. Now, and they had nothing but mineral water. Like it was so hard. You go in the store and then like everything's in French. I can, como se dice este, that's my Spanish right there. I can make my way, I know words, I know vocabulary, and I can, but I don't know French. Bonjour is it. Seriously. So to come here and the food that you eat, how did you find the food? How do you eat? What do you eat here? Deepak?
Like dinner, like there one time, like rice, with vegetables.
Do you find it hard to find what you need?
No,
What about spices?
yeah, I do find hard to find the spices.
Do you find the spices, right? but they don't taste the same as back home. Like, it is so crazy, and it's because the ingredients and the spices, and not only the ingredients, it's the fact that if you get them natural, you got to export them or import them here. That importation process, like, I'm a beer guy. I love drinking IPAs. Went to Paris. We were in Paris for 3 or 4 days. It was crazy. It was a whole trip of us. It was like a whole group of us. It was like 20 of us. We went from Paris, and then we went to Amsterdam for like 2 days. We get to Amsterdam. We went to Heineken, the Heineken factory. Heineken's made in Amsterdam. I was in Amsterdam drinking Heineken. Every time now I go overseas, I drink Heineken. But when you drink Heineken, if you ever drink a Heineken, it has this taste where like that first taste is like this water taste, and then the back taste is like this skunky flavor. Well, what happens with Heineken is when they make the beer, when they import it to America, it gets stuck in our customs for about 6 months to a year before it actually gets shipped over to whatever distribution center. So our custom centers have nothing but food that's being imported, products being imported that are just sitting there. So the reason the Heineken tastes the way it does on that back end is because it's actually skunked beer. Starbucks and coffee, the regulation in the United States of America is not as strict as it is internationally. So there have been posts, I've seen posts about like China. They reject a lot of coffee because it has to have a certain time frame on it before or it can't be sold at all. So if it took long in their supply chain process, they reject it and they just send all that stuff to the United States of America. So your coffee could be molded. The ingredients you have inside, like think about all the products. We put stuff in there to make the food last longer. The food's not fresh. All right. And then you go here and this stuff is imported from California, from Mexico. You don't know how it was grown. You don't know what they put in it. And like, it all tastes different, right? Like the avocados are like so hit or miss. And like these aren't, like it is, and you're unaware to all of this stuff, on 2 reasons. One, you haven't stepped out of your own pond. So, I mean, when I like sit here and you look at the international students, the things they have to go, like when I say this is their stopping point, but like, it is crazy. Like we are really behind. So businesses create the goods and services that are the basis of our standard of living. It's also why we have to be aware of what's going on too, because of how government policy and regulation impacts not only ourselves, but also how it impacts business. So I spoke about this a little bit in classes yesterday, so excuse me for anybody that's hearing this again. But for example, we might have talked about in here. Did we talk about the bathroom, how the bathroom issue could impact businesses? We talked about that in this class, right? Okay, so Trump did those 2 regulations. He did the bathroom, right? So you can only choose male, female. And then he also did DE&I initiatives, all right? So what happened yesterday is that, I hope it wasn't. Did we talk about Elon and the 2 million in the government? Did we talk about that? Okay, so like this is all live progressing. So excuse me again. So the government yesterday announced that they will pay anybody 2 years worth of their salary, plus they'll have full pension if they elect to quit or to voluntarily retire by Saturday, February 1st. Why would the government do that? What are they trying to get ahead of?
Cut costs.
Cut costs? Elon's been talking about saving money on government expenditures and so forth. So it's better for the government to pay employees to leave voluntarily than it is to go through a natural 20% attrition. Remember, happy employees and happy employees produce more revenue. Happy employees earn more over the lifetime of their career. It's important that you have happy employees. If Trump signs executive orders in the government that you only have 2 genders, and all DE&I initiatives, any race-based promotion systems or cultural or disability-based or veteran-based promotion systems are gone. Any DE&I initiatives like, let's see who comes to this campus now. So what happens is now the people are unhappy. So they say, instead of the government people coming here and being frustrated, upset, talking about everything that Trump's doing, these new executive orders, let's offer a voluntary layoff, voluntary retirement. So now, by September 1st, you can send an email, we'll give you your package based off of how long you've been here, and then you can sunset off to your next job, and you got 2 years to look for that damn job. 2 years is also important. The government budget, they probably paid for the salaries for the next 2 years. So letting them go early, this was already in the budget that was under Biden. So the money's spent. The money's allocated for it. Now we're looking at what we're going to do with the new money, which also is important to understand. Typically, the president doesn't see the impact of what their rules are until 2 years later. So realistically, what we saw under Trump was actually the momentum of Obama's administration. Because it takes 2 to 4 years for these decisions to actually impact. And what happened under Barack Obama is the first 4 years, government shut down and didn't do shit for Barack. All these executive orders and things, like, again, pay attention. Trump's able to do this. They're allowing him to do this. Barack didn't sign all these executive orders. Biden didn't sign all these executive orders. Not in the first 4 days. They allow it. Congress has not stopped them. So if somebody wants this stuff done, and all of us, the voters, we voted for the people that are in the office, Congress, Senate, House of Representatives, President, elected officials, and so forth. So what happens is they offer this package. You can submit, by Saturday, you're done. And then now, anybody that comes to work on Monday, you don't care about the 2 genders. You also don't care about the DE&I initiatives. You're okay with this. So you can't complain anymore. You're choosing to accept this job, making it easy for me to manage my people, to make sure that everybody here wants to be here, and those that don't, here's your package, you can go. So when we talk about having 6 months to 12 months worth of salary saved up, situations like this happen. And, I shared this with you guys again. I saw it on my Apple feed today. It was talking about how companies are choosing not to hire millennials or Gen Zers. I think it's because I've been talking about it already for the past couple of days, listening, and now I got the article coming up in my feed. But like realistically, companies don't want to hire you guys. So not only do you have like these, people that get laid off, you're competing against these people that worked in the government. They're like, we don't want to work in the government anymore. Let me go work in tech. They're competing for the same jobs. You got people that are 10 years in and doing career transitions, and now they want to get into tech, but they've been in the restaurant industry all their lives. They were managers at a restaurant. Then they wanted to switch their skill set over and get more of a grown-up job. They wanted to go corporate. You're applying against these people. You're applying against people that never went to college but trained themselves. You're applying against people that know people that work in the right places, that get their jobs and have their resumes pushed up. And all these factors that are going on, like all these executive orders, they really impact the access to the jobs that you have. They impact the businesses, right? Think about like, I actually appreciate what happened during COVID in Texas. All right. You had a lot of businesses that during that time frame, it made no sense for a 50% occupancy in some of these counties. Like some counties were so small and there wasn't a lot of people, but when the government regulation, the federal government regulation said only 50% of people, what happens to businesses if I can only have 50% of occupancy rates in there?
Limited to.
Limited what?
Specific one.
It limits customers. So if I have a business that's barely making it, when we're at full, and then now all of a sudden I have to have 50%, now when that regulation happens, it impacts my business because of how many customers I can serve, but it also impacts the customers how? How did it impact you? How did COVID restrictions impact you? What did you start doing less of compared to what did you start doing more of? I started ordering more from Amazon. I started doing DoorDash and Uber Eats a little bit more than what I did prior to COVID. I started to rely on, and I mean, maybe you guys already were on it. It changed consumer spending habits. Who's 21? Raise your hand. Anybody? How else did COVID impact for 21 and up? What regulation changed that couldn't do prior to COVID? Oh, you guys weren't 21 prior to COVID. Never mind. So you can get takeout liquor. I can go to Papados and I can literally order a drink to go now. So this created a revenue line of businesses where now we could only serve drinks at the bar, and you had to be at the bar. You couldn't leave the bar. Now, because of this regulation update, as long as it's contained and taped up and enclosed, you can take it out with you and drive away. New revenue model that didn't exist before. Now, I don't know if people still do the takeout stuff, but it's there and it's a new revenue model. People were calling to-go orders and they were getting liquor drinks. That was money that businesses could never make because of the regulations. So with Texas, like Texas made that regulation and never changed it. So like there's a love-hate thing with Texas and Texas politics. But Texas politics are very pro-business. I'm one of those people. You can fight the system, or you can learn the game and play it and capitalize off of it just like everybody else. I think that's the beautiful thing about business. Again, no matter what you want to trade, what you want to do, what do you find joy in that you'll passionately pursue, where no matter if people say you're crazy, no matter if people say you shouldn't do it, no matter what people say, you wake up and you feel fulfilled. Like business is like life. Your personal, like how you operate. You are a business. You know that? You are a business. How are you a business? Anybody know the answer? You are, who has a social security number? Raise your hand. Having a social security number means you are a taxable entity. Taxable entity is a business. A business has an EIN number, employee identification number. Nonprofit has an EIN number, and you all have social security numbers. A trust is its own entity. That's really a living will that is an executor of money and finances. Remember, the trust is how Trump pulled out $400 billion and put it into a trust. And then we probably won't ever see what happened with that money or how he paid taxes. We probably never see that line item ever again. But there's $400 billion that were created just because we IPO'd social. Is anybody on Truth Social? And he milked 400 billion out of it. That's the society you live in today. Again, you can complain about it. You can watch people TikTok and podcast and have conversations about it, or you can learn it and figure out how you apply what you learn to do the same thing and get your own piece of the pie and whatever that is. I apologize because I feel like I'm talking all over the place, but like it is that connected and like, I mean, we've gone through, you know, the meta, the long-term meta, Tesla, we've gone through Lucid, we've gone through NVIDIA, the long-term of NVIDIA. I told you guys aren't going to drive cars no more. Elon actually said by June, the self-driving cars will be fully available for Austin. So see if you can get on that Waymo list. I heard it's a wait list right now. You can't, like, you gotta wait until you get in, but by June, the flight date should be open for Austin. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.